Alright guys, ZFR Gaming back here again today, and this is going to be my review for episode 705 of The Walking Dead, which is called Go Getters, and this was a pretty awesome episode. I'm excited to review this. Before I get into that, some of you guys might be wondering what's been going on. I've been gone for like almost a week now, maybe more than that. So where have I been? What's happening? Pretty much, what's going down is I've been having more problems with my PlayStation. Like I said, I'm still working to get a new one, one of the pros. Hopefully, that's what I'm gonna pick up. But pretty much, yeah, I've just been having more problems with it. It's been kind of harder to play certain games. Like now, I can't really play Fallout. But like I'm trying to get that to work again. And on top of that, I've also couldn't upload for a while, so I don't know if this video will go up the first time I try it or not. I might have to retry it once or twice, or just live stream this instead. And two, like after I start to get things back in order with my PlayStation, after I tried some stuff and started to get back working, like I got sick. So that's why I've been gone for like the past week. Like I'm actually starting to feel better just now, so that's great. That I'm feeling a little bit better. I can get back in the swing of making these videos for you guys. I am out right now on break, so I really feel like I've kind of missed out on a lot of video time I could have did. But hey, what are you gonna do? So anyway, breaking off from all that, let's get into this review. So this episode, like I said, was freaking awesome. I loved this episode. Alright, I loved it. So anyway, what went down this episode was so great. Pretty much the main thing that stuck out to me about this episode is that there were so many smaller characters that needed more development that got that in this episode. And let me just say, I hear some people saying this was a bad episode and stuff. I'm sorry. If you think this is a bad, then you could not make a TV show. Like you would make a horrible one. I'm sorry, because like this episode provided a lot of stuff we just needed to see, a lot of stuff we needed. Like I said, this episode was an episode for all of the small characters, and I loved that. Like, it was that was awesome to me. Like, we got to see more of Carl, who we've all been wanting to see more of Carl. We want to see him get more into his comic role, because this is around the time where that's supposed to start happening more and more, and it looks like they're finally doing that, which is awesome. I'll get to that a little later. We get to see more of Enid and her story. And let me just say, I love what they're doing with Enid. I think I said this in a past video, but Enid is taking comic book Sophia's story. She is the replacement for comic book Sophia, and I really love the fact that we're seeing more of her on the show than we got to see Sophia in the comics. I feel like because in the comics, after Glenn's death and stuff, we don't really see Sophia all that much. We see her every now and then when she interacts with Carl, but I love that they're giving Enid her own stuff with Maggie. I love that. So that's awesome to me that they're really diving into that more. Next thing, we got to see more of Gregory. Awesome. I think the actor playing Gregory is doing a great job. Gregory's supposed to be a slimy kind of businessman, so I think they're playing that real nice. And we got to see more of Simon, which is awesome because we only saw him once. And I hear a lot of people saying he's like Negan 2.0, and that kind of makes sense, because when you have a right hand man, a second in command, you kind of want them to think the same way you do. So that makes sense that he reminds you a lot of Negan. But I really liked him. Plus, it's just awesome knowing he's freaking Trevor from GTA. He act like he's really similar to Trevor in some ways when you think about it. Just a little more tame, I guess. And then we also got to see more of Salsa, which we don't get to see all that much. I mean, we gotten to see more of Salsa over the seasons, but I feel like it's been a while since she's had her own little episode. Like, I mean, I mean, we've been seeing the stuff with her and Abraham, but I feel like it's been a while since, we've gotten to see just more of her in general on her own and stuff. And she's not really on her own, but you guys know what I'm saying. We just got to see more of her in this episode, and just it looks like she's going to be going to bigger and higher places in the show. And man, while I'm on this topic, just let me bring this up. I think Salsa, I could be wrong, but I think they just confirmed that Salsa is going to be around for a couple more seasons. I'm pretty sure they confirmed this with this episode. Because if you notice, Salsa is replacing Maggie's friend in the comics. I don't know how many of you read the comics, but in the comics, when Maggie first goes to Hilltop, I want to say it's like issue 106 if you want to look it up online. It's somewhere in there, like issue 106, maybe 1010 or something like that. I can't remember, but go check it out if you don't know what I'm talking about. But there's actually this other chick, this black chick. She's a little bit older than Maggie in the comics, and they kind of become friends at the Hilltop. While Maggie's mourning Glenn, and they're kind of friends for like the remainder of the comics. Sauce's pretty much took all of her stuff in this episode, because we didn't see her in this episode. So pretty much it looks like they're giving that to Salsa, and that chick is alive still in the comics. So I think we're gonna see Salsa for at least until season 10 now. That's pretty big that they just hinted at that. I don't know. Take that as how you want. That's how I saw it. Then we got to see more of Jesus. Awesome stuff from him. I love all the awesome parkour, kung fu stuff. I just love that part. We get to see more of that from him. That is awesome. The freaking flying kick on the walker, that was freaking amazing. And most of all, I know you all saw it come, we got to see Maggie in this episode, and we finally got to see how she's dealing with Glenn's death, and she's being real strong about it, as I'm sure everybody was saying. Maggie is really tough. I love Maggie's character so much more on the show than I do in the comics. In the comics, Maggie is not a fighter. Like, I mean, she can be a fighter, she's not afraid to fight or anything, she's still really tough in the comics, but she's definitely way tougher on the show. She's way more aggressive, and she stands out more on the show, and I love that they do that they're doing that with her. She's getting in on the action more in the show than she is in the comics. I think that's great. And you even got to see the foreshadow stuff, kind of spoiler alerts here, but I think you should have kind of got the hint from this episode if you didn't already. But Maggie is going to become the leader of the Hilltop in the future, and they hinted at it heavily in this episode. So that's awesome. We got to see her giving the commands when the Saviors let down the gates with all the walkers and stuff. That was awesome. And they all went out there, and I love the part where she crushed all of them with the tractor and stuff and crushed the car. That was an awesome scene there. The next thing I want to talk about is this stuff with Carl and Enid. Like, I feel like this is something that's going to kind of come back up a lot later in some interesting ways. So what I'm looking at here is, just realize this what I'm getting ready to say may contain slight spoilers later on in the comics, alright? Not really, because from the way it's looking, they could totally change it up on the show. They could completely change it the way it's looking, but just a warning, this may or may not contain very slight spoilers. But Carl and Enid, like, they pretty much like, they had their little romance this episode with the roller skating mini date and all that, and then the kiss at the end there. Like, I'm kind of wondering, is that something they're going to continue? Was that just let's do it now and not really go back to it later kind of thing, Like, I mean, because later on in the comics, Carl actually does meet a different chick, and he never ends up with Sophia in the comics, and Enid is taking Sophia's place. he never ends up with her. So I'm kind of wondering, what are they doing here? Like, is Carl going to end up, eventually cheating on Enid or something like that? Like, I'm just throwing that out there. That's a possibility, but I don't really know. Let's get to stuff with Simon and the Saviors when they show up. Oh man, like I just love the way they pulled up out there and Simon hopped out of the car, just hiked up his pants, and like they were all just walking at the house like they own the place like that. That was an awesome little scene and stuff. And let me just say, freaking Gregory. For though a lot of people were confused about this, Gregory was trying to give Maggie and Salsa up at the end there. When he opened the closet, that was his intention. Jesus moved them before the Saviors got into the house. From the looks of it, he moved them to a different closet, because freaking Gregory, he definitely was trying to give them up there. But Gregory is a snake. Don't forget that. Gregory is a snake. Like Maggie says, he's not an idiot. He's not stupid. He's just a coward, and they're more dangerous. Gregory is pretty smart. Like, he's a quick thinker. And when he opened that closet and didn't see him, he did a pretty good job of acting like he meant the alcohol. That was pretty smart and pretty quick thinking by him, but it kind of just goes to show you how much of a scumbag he was to try to turn them in there. And then we got to see that he stole Glenn's watch off of his grave, like, and Maggie just socked him and took it right back. I love that part. Like I said, Maggie, such a awesome character. Love what they're doing with her on the show compared to the comic. Anyway, like, we pretty much got to see that Maggie and Salsa are staying at the hilltop. All that great stuff. We see the Saviors leaving, and you see Salsa in secret with Jesus ask him to find out where Negan lives. And so he's like, all right, yeah, I can do that. And freaking bad when, let me tell you, that last scene where he got in the back of that truck and we got to see Carl. Oh man, I was freaking cheering like crazy. I was so excited, but I was also really sad because it's ending there. We're probably not going to see what Carl does for a couple episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see what he does until after the mid-season break, because like, for those of you who didn't catch it, like the promos that we got, the promo for next episode is actually from like the next 3 episodes. So just keep that in mind. Like that's all not going to be in one episode. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But then again, we might get to see what Carl does in episode 7. Who knows? Maybe. Because we know episode 8 is probably when we're going to have another big character death on the show. Or at least a kind of big character death. And if you read the comics, you probably know who I'm talking about. It's like the next big person or person that actually matters that Negan kills in the comics. So yeah, just be prepared for that episode 8. That's probably going to be pretty violent too, of course, but different from the Lucille death. Still going to probably be pretty graphic. Can't wait to see how they do that. Next week we have the episode. I thought the freaking thing cut off on me. Next week we have the episode with Tara and Heath. Can't wait for that. I'll do my preview for that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I give this episode a freaking 9 out of 10. This was a pretty great episode. I think when you look at like how important this episode is, it's really important to the show overall, because so many mid-level to smaller characters got more development in this episode. I just really think this is important to the show overall. Let me know what you think about the episode down below in the comments. Let me know your theories. I love hearing theories.